Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. I am very excited to be here this evening. My name is Julia Werre. I live in Maryland. I've been with APLGO since the very beginning, July of 2020, and it is my greatest honor to have the ability to share somebody with you and this information with you tonight. Because honestly, coming in early and getting all of the information early has just been a blessing to my business, and I know that it will be a blessing to yours. Not only that, the material that we're going to cover tonight is going to make your life so much easier when sharing it with your potential clients, patients, customers. If you're a medical professional, you know that this kind of material can be crucial for people who are looking for answers and looking for ways to improve their health. So listen up. Grab a pencil and a pad of paper because you're going to want to take notes. I know that this speaker is going to provide us with graphics, and there will be a way for you to get those graphics at the end, I promise, so you don't have to try to sketch out everything. You can do screenshots. I'm giving you a heads up now because I know you're going to want to do those things. This is going to be the kind of material that you're going to be able to share for years to come. You'll refer back to this and want to look it up. The person who is speaking with us tonight has just changed my life and changed my career path because what she has done has made it easy for people to understand, absorb, and digest material from a product that we know is easy to digest and understand, right? All we're doing is letting a lozenge drop in our mouth, and then there we are good to go. The person I want to introduce to you is delightful. Mary-Esther-Gilbert, coming directly out of Arizona. Normally, I will tell you, normally I have three or four of her books at my fingertips, but I'm doing an event this weekend. So, Mary-Esther, my books are packed already away so that I can show them to guests who come to these events. I will tell you that your books have absolutely made my life easier to be a representative of this company. So, also, everybody at the end, you're going to want to make sure you jot down exactly how to get copies of her books because when you show one of Mary Esther's books that she has authored, people go, whoa, okay, and they listen up closer. So, this is going to be a great opportunity. Welcome, Mary-Esther-Gilbert. Everybody, give her a big round of applause. We want to thank you so much. Welcome in. I'm looking here at you, and I wonder if you could give us a quick snapshot of your background, of your history, of how you got introduced to this incredible product.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much. What a great introduction, Julia. I love being here with you tonight. Hi, everybody. It's so great to see all of you. Thanks for the applause. I'm blushing. But, you know, I've been doing this for so long, but it's kind of evolved. I started out in clinical dietetics in college, and I think I'm following in my grandfather's footsteps, who was a medical doctor, and he learned a lot of herbology from the local natives. So I think I caught that gene. So I've been focusing on a holistic college and, just doing a lot of research through the years and just producing science-based nutritional protocols for clients and students and audiences and my readerships now. And I'm always amazed at how the human body just responds to the right stuff. Just when your results match the science, that is so exciting. You're onto the truth. So anyhow, this is what I'm doing now. I'm just doing all of the above, writing and teaching and just being here with all of you. It's such a pleasure.
That is so wonderful to hear you say that, and that you're continuing to write and also continuing to help patients and clients across the world and to really help us get to the root of what we need to know. There have been many times where, I've had to reach out to you and ask a question about something that I don't really understand or know anything about. And I have to say thank you so very much for being so generous with your time and your knowledge. It's just a pleasure to be able to talk to someone who is so knowledgeable but so generous with what you do and your time. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Julia. It's just I'm compelled to do that. Just, I love when people ask me questions. And so I like to give them a little bit more information because it's just like building their background knowledge. If I just give them a straight, simple answer, that's not going to teach them, and they're not going to be very convincing to the person they're trying to help. So yeah, I guess it's in my genes. I'm just compelled to give more than people ask for, but I think that's a good thing.
I agree. I totally agree. And I know that at the end, you're definitely going to share with everybody your website, also how they can get in touch with you. And I think are you doing your paid service? Do you have a paid service at this time where people can reach out to you?
Yeah, you can I can explain at the end. There's a
Great,
contact form. They can go to the website and ask whatever manner of questions, or they can text me. I'm
great.
on Facebook and Messenger, so anybody can text me.
Wonderful. I wanted to let everyone know that up front because that's a big question that people always ask. What if I have a question? So that's fantastic. And we'll make sure that everybody gets that good information. But tonight we're going to talk about one of the most amazing products in our lineup, which is called PFT or Perfect. And my husband and I were both honored and just really given the opportunity to be part of the sample of Americans who were able to use this product. And there were other people who were on this call that were also part of the, I wouldn't call it a trial, but we would definitely call it an experiment or a first run with the product when it first was launched here in the United States, PFT and Perfect. So I do have the experience of using the product and having an amazing experience with the product. But we do have some deeper dive questions that we want to ask tonight. Can I go ahead and jump in?
Yes, go right ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do my share screen here, and then we can
Fantastic.
take a
Exciting.
look at. Looks like I thought I had called
Okay.
that document
I'll
up,
go.
but I know it's right here.
That's cool. I'm going to go ahead and read the question for you. From a functional nutrition perspective, what early physiological signals tell us that PFT is supporting appetite regulation and visceral fat metabolism before there's a visible weight loss? And the reason that
Great.
we're asking this question is because we want to know about the mechanisms and the markers, but not claims.
Yes, this is such a great question. Your questions are very unique, and it's a fresh perspective, and it's really going to be fun to answer these tonight. So, what I first would like to do is to just lay the groundwork for what does it mean to be full? What does it mean to interpret when you have to stop eating, right? Because that's one of the main problems of becoming overweight. So it's a matter of being highly nourished enough so that your nervous system and your hormonal system, the monitoring systems in the body, can interpret the right information. So we've talked about the gut-brain axis. And so this communication between the gut and the brain, it just interprets and controls the appetite and satiety. So when you're full, you can recognize it. So this is, like I said, through the nervous system and hormonal signaling. That's very, very important. So nutrients entering the small intestine when you're eating food stimulates these peptides, right? These are smaller proteins that the body makes to be released, which monitor and help one determine when the meal should be terminated. So, like I said, the hormones and even inflammatory proteins, they have various functions, not just in response to something that's bad, but these hormones and the cytokines and other monitoring proteins, they're secreted by our peripheral organs, all of our organs that are involved in digestion. They affect energy balance when controlling feeding and energy expenditure. So they're always monitoring. The nerve cells, they help regulate this feeding, so they're located in the hypothalamus and in the brain stem. So this nerve network is constantly sending out signals and receiving signals. The neuronal circuits, the circuits in the nerves, in the complex circuitry of the limbic system in the brain, mediate the psychological and behavioral aspects of motivation and rewards in feeding. So our psychology, our emotions are definitely tied into how we perceive food and even how we determine when we should stop eating or not. So another thing I wanted to lay the groundwork for was understanding the neurological basis of eating, such as how the peripheral metabolic signals interact with the brain, all of our organ systems, how they interact with the brain, sending signals. So that has aided in the treatment of disorders or disturbances in energy balance or homeostasis, obesity, cachexia, which is unintentional weight loss, wasting of the body tissues. So the motor commands from the central nervous system that go to the muscles and organs and the limbs, they control everything from voluntary movements to automatic functions like breathing and digestion. So these all are functioning because of the the optimal nourishment we provide to our cells. So we have to maintain that perpetual motion. So how the body uses visceral fat, let's go ahead without going too much into the problems with weight. How the body uses visceral fat, how it affects energy expenditure and energy levels. As you can see in this diagram here, when a person is taking in too many foods, right, and the body cannot expend the calorie energy that's being taken in, the body automatically just stores it for future use, which is the body fat, right? So we have the subcutaneous body fat, which is under the skin, and then we have the kind of fat called visceral fat that wraps around the organs. So the body will store future energy needs anywhere it can in the body. All right, so the visceral fat just means that it's surrounding the inner organs and not the type that's under the skin. So the fat accumulates, in all these fat deposits in these fat cells called adipocytes, subcutaneously just beneath the skin. And then the triglycerides, when you eat food and it's, you're overeating, and the body, rather than allowing a lot of sugar to accumulate in the blood, then it'll automatically just change the molecules to triglycerides, a type of fat. And so this is the kind of fat that's found ectopically or on sites surrounding the organs. So you've got the visceral area, like the liver, the pancreas, the gallbladder, the stomach, and also it gets stored in the muscle and around the heart. It just wraps around the heart and obstructs circulation. And also it can gather in the intestines. So I have found, and this is something that people don't always want to hear, but this is the only way to burn off fat is just to exercise. And certain kinds of exercises will burn off fat more readily than others. So any kind of sustained exercise, whether you are taking a walk, no matter how small, even if you're just starting out and you can only go a half a block or even less, right? You have to start where you are and just start moving the circulation, getting some oxygen flowing, getting more nutrients delivered to the farther reaches, the extremities of the body, so that you can also just start removing toxins, right? So we can't really maintain our weight if we are full of toxins. We've discussed all of this, in previous calls, and I also cover a lot of this kind of material in my YouTube channel. So any kind of aerobic or fat burning exercise, your heart rate is going up and you're continuing on with this work, then you kick into the fat burning stage. And so also what helps a lot is the raw food, the dietary enzymes. They reduce both the subcutaneous and the ectopic organ fat. So exercises that elevate the circulation and the heart rate for at least 30 minutes, several days per week, 3-4 times a week, is going to be very, very effective to use body fat. The dietary enzyme-active raw foods at every single meal are extremely important for starting that spark, that heat action that releases fat stores for energy. So both are important for utilizing or helping to deplete body fat stores. It will increase the cellular energy production, your metabolism, the rate at which your body uses energy, and also cell structure maintenance, including the brain and the nerve cells. So it's all about the maintaining of the structure of our cells and the functioning of our cells, and also generating, creating, and activating the regulating hormones. So they are very important to continue to tell the body what's going on and what needs to be done. Okay, so studies show that excess visceral fat distribution, it's a predictor of cardiovascular disease and insulin resistance when your body can no longer uptake the excess sugar out of the bloodstream. So there are other health problems also that I'll get into in a moment. And this is still within answering your question, Julia. But as you said, I do have diagrams and I do like to lay out a little bit of science knowledge so that you get an idea of how the body works, So these are the different organs that are in place in the body, and the visceral fat starts forming around everything you see here. It just covers everything. It goes around the liver, and it goes around the heart, around all of these, the stomach, the intestines, everything starts accumulating and just is getting stored. So I'll go ahead and go on to this one. Now, for the PFT, the botanical phytochemical complexes in this plant. They aid the signals of satiety and help regulate the visceral fat metabolism. So as you can see here, when someone doesn't exercise and they're constantly overeating and they're just sedentary, then it's going to be just stored for future use. This person here has a whole storage of future energy, right? But it's not great for the health. And there's a certain amount of visceral fat that's necessary to protect the organs. So on this individual on the left side, who's obviously the same person, I guess, and they lost their body fat through a lot of hard work, I can tell you. So you can see how you can just see the outline of the visceral fat that's forming underneath the belly here. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like on the inside, you know. So here are some of the health issues that are because of too much visceral fat, because it does obstruct the circulatory pathways in all of the organs, not just the bloodstream. So people can have, you know, heart malfunctions, fatty liver disease that's not associated with alcohol, and they can have too much fat in the gallbladder, forming gallstones, gynecologic abnormalities, you know, abnormal menses and such, arthritis, skin problems, and gout, you know, phlebitis and cancers, all these different cancers, pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas, coronary heart disease, diabetes, you know, all of these very, very common health issues, as you can see, are because of excess visceral fat. And there are other factors, of course, but that's one of the main factors. So as we go into the PFT, you can see how the barley seed, it's been shown to reduce visceral fat. There's extensive scientific research on these botanicals on how they affect the body's visceral fat. So the flaxseed also, you know, all of these phytochemical compounds, these amazing phytonutrients that are in these plants, in the plant kingdom, there's so many compounds, a huge array of them, right? And they're so synergistic. The flaxseed's been shown to improve blood lipid profiles, blood pressure, reduction in body weight, and reducing body fat accumulations in the visceral fat. Okay, so I'm just going to go over just maybe three more of these. The Malabar tamarind fruit, it's got the active ingredient hydroxycitric acid, or HCA, and studies show that HCA helps reduce visceral abdominal fat and subcutaneous fat, the fat stores under the skin, in the body. So recent studies have shown that Garcinia cambogia soothes the appetite, helps quickly burn calories. So it's stepping up that heat furnace that burns body fat. It influences a lipogenic brake, preventing the conversion of carbohydrates into stored body fat. So if someone's eating too many carbs at once, especially the refined sugars, those are terrible for just quickly having to convert to body fat before it becomes a real problem for the pancreas, trying to, secrete the insulin into the bloodstream to take it out of the blood because it's very dangerous. So the brown algae, this one's a great plant. It's been found to have an appetite modulating effect that signals satiety levels due to its bulking effect of its alginates. The polysaccharides in it improve the environment in the intestinal tract. 30 to 60% of total sugars in brown algae are the alginates. And it contains frucoidin, a sulfate fructose polysaccharide compound that has shown its potential for inhibiting fat accumulation by inhibiting the formation and increase in the fat cells. So your body can accumulate fat cells as well.
That's really
All right, so
amazing.
that prevents it.
I have a question. I have a quick question for you. I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. I just have a quick
No, no,
question.
it's
So
great.
what are the early physiological signals that are going to show someone that PFT is helping them even before they see any weight loss?
Yes. So they're going to note an increase in metabolism. They're going to notice that they seem to have more energy levels because their body's dipping into the body fat stores. And they're going to notice smaller waistlines, you know, things that make people notice you. They'll say, you know, what have you been doing? You look like you've lost some weight. You look great. Your skin looks awesome. You know, just all these compliments that come naturally because the body's busy using more energy, more fat stores for energy. So it's
That
like,
makes
you know, these five, I think they're five, yeah, botanicals in the PFT are known for dipping into the body fat stores. You're just going to find out that you have more energy going on and you're reducing in size.
Okay, so we'll see a reduction in size, an increase in energy, and improved skin and mood, I would assume too. That was exactly what my husband and I noticed. Our measurements, we took our measurements and our weight, of course, but we took our measurements first and also photos. And where I really saw a change personally was in my back. So I had front view and both side views. But where I really saw a difference was the back view, and it was in my waist. And so it's interesting to hear you say that. I appreciate that very much. Um,
Yeah.
the next question we have, which it looks like you're coming up to it, is how would you recommend evaluating visceral fat improvement in everyday users, not including lab testing, while you're ensuring muscle mass and metabolic health are preserved? Because this is the biggest issue is that we don't want to lose muscle, right? We want to lose fat. And the goal of this question is to show that we care about your health, not just getting tinier. That's super important. I know there was a time in my life when I was much younger where all I cared about was being skinny. There was no consideration for health whatsoever. It did not matter to me. And I know that for us as a team and as I know medical professionals who are on this call as well. Your concern is the overall body's health, not just for getting tiny. Um, and I did want to talk about the waist measurements and things like that, and how that aligns with us as a company. How do we share that information? And just, I know that you've done a whole lot for people to help them lose weight. Do you recommend photos, measurements, and things like that? And what do you recommend for those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think it's important to monitor yourself. That way you're answering to yourself most of all. You don't have to worry about being pressured by anyone else. You're your own best critic. So you can evaluate yourself and just measure your progress. And that's very motivating. So I've been helping people to make sure that they do not lose their valuable body protein while burning off the excess body fat. A certain amount of body fat and dietary fat is extremely important to not degenerate the nervous system and to not disrupt the formation of the 10,000 hormones that the body needs to monitor and regulate the whole system. So yes, it's very important. This is what I'll be covering right now. I just did a video on how I stayed fit without being fatigued, without wearing anything down for, I've been working out for over 50 years since I was in my 20s. So I just did a video on my YouTube channel if you all want to go there after and take a look at just exactly how I maintained muscle mass, lean body tissue, and did not, as much as of the physical activity that I've done for years, I have no degenerative effects on any of my connective tissues. The just my collagen and the all of the joints and everything are still intact, and I'm still very physically active. So I've been very successful in helping people maintain their lean body mass and to lose the body fat. Like I said earlier, I was starting to say, there's only one way to lose it. You have to exercise. You have to get out there because the way the body starts burning body fat and eliminating it is just through the aerobic effect, taking in large volumes of oxygen over a few minutes, or if you're more fit over a period of time, 30 to 1 hour, so that's very important to understand about the human body. There are no simple fixes. There are no quick fixes. The science is very clear, however, some of these foods that are in the PFT especially do uh, use body fat, do help the body go into its body fat stores. And that's why a person notices an increase in energy levels. Okay, so even though people don't want to hear this, I'm so sorry. I did not create the human body. A simple skin fold caliper test. I don't know if you've seen any calipers. They kind of look like scissors, but they squeeze the fat around the waist, and they measure how much body fat can be squeezed at the waistline. So that's one way of evaluating your visceral fat, or subcutaneous fat. Because if you have subcutaneous fat, it's most likely that you have more visceral fat beneath the surface. So, but yeah, so just know the difference. The subcutaneous fat is different kind of fat than the visceral fat. And also, of course, aside from laboratory results, there's still the best way of measuring your visceral fat stores. So we can't just discount that. You know, we do have to consider that is actually the best way to get a very accurate reading on how much visceral fat your body has. And to know that, you know, it's a great health risk, heart disease, stroke, cancers, type 2 diabetes, all sorts of inflammatory problems. So there's always the weight scale, you know, a sensible gradual weight loss measurement. So I always advocate that only 1 pound of overall body weight, and that means burning off fat, not wasting your muscles away. Your muscle tissue is extremely important for your strength and endurance and your to not feel fatigued, you know. So this is the only way to generally lose body fat. And by doing the aerobic workouts and even the weight training workouts that I advocate, doesn't have to be big, heavy weights. Any small amount of weight is going to stimulate the body to strengthen its muscles and other things like make your bones stronger, you know, take up more minerals into the bones, things like that. But so yeah, 1 pound of body fat per week is the only thing that will keep you going, because if you lose more than 1 pound of body fat per week, you're going to feel hungry, you're going to have cravings like you would not believe. Even if you're well nourished, you'll still crave some carbohydrates or something, you know, or you'll want more of the protein food or any of the protein food categories. So yeah, that's the only way to do it. Just be patient. It took a long time to gain the weight. It's going to take a while to lose it. Um, Using a measuring tape, you know, you can measure your arms, your waist, chest, hips, upper thighs, and calves. People have always relied on that as well. And keep in mind that a progressive fitness improvement protocol, muscle weighs more than fat. So you can't always depend on the scale. But waist measurements, like we talked about, and how clothing fits are the most significant visual measures for fat loss. And here's another thing I think people should understand. A daily nutrient dietary intake of protein, carbohydrate, fat ratios concerning the calorie intake. Not that you have to go crazy counting calories, but it does help to understand a little bit about the calorie value of the different types of food groups so that you understand that, okay, if I eat too many fats, then that's twice as many calories, right? So you're going to be preventing, you know, you're going to have high levels of energy if you have these protein carbohydrate fat ratios properly, and preventing the physical and mental fatigue that I talked about. So just in general, it's going to vary according to your age, your body weight, the level of activity, your health. Somewhere around 30 to 35% of your calories should be from animal derived proteins of your total daily calorie intake. And then 45 to 65 of the whole food carbs, no refined sugars, because that will put on body fat quicker than you can blink an eye. And then 25 to 30% of your foods in fat. So I'm going to break that down further here very quickly for us. So calories, you have animal-derived proteins, they're 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates are also 4 calories per gram, but fats are a whopping 9 calories per gram. So you obviously need to eat less fats, but not cut them out entirely because, like I said, our cell structures and hormones and all kinds of other things rely on healthy fats. Okay, so here are the serving sizes. Now, this is a different set of percentages than the caloric value you see above. So in terms of portion sizes and grams, 30 to 40% animal protein. That means like 3 or 4 ounces in a serving size. 50 to 65% of your diet should be whole food carbs. And that translates into one or two or more cups of vegetables, greens, fresh fruit, root vegetables, beans, legumes. These foods are lower in calories, so you can eat a lot more of them and have a lot of energy, and you won't, have any problems with your blood sugar because they have counter effects in those plants. So then we have the 10 to 20% whole food fat. If you're on a weight loss program and you're exercising, it's important to exercise when you're on a weight loss program as well as when you're not. Exercise is the most therapeutic thing you can do for your body for prolonged longevity and energy, and just keeping up, your body and mind, just making sure that your body's detoxifying on a daily basis. So it's very, very important to exercise. There's so many health benefits. All right.
So,
So
so
anyway,
you would, so you would say that when you're evaluating visceral fat improvement for everyday users, not including lab testing, you're suggesting that we should definitely have a scale that is one of the body fat scale. measuring tools, and then also using a caliper. If I wanted to use a caliper, would I need to go to, where would I go to get that and have access to that so that I would know exactly how much my body has changed? Because not everyone is using PFT exclusively for visceral fat. I know that a lot of people use it also for B complex, because it has such a high level of Bs in it. But where would I need to go outside of a lab? Because that was the main question, to really see a difference and to evaluate how the visceral fat has changed.
Some medical doctors will provide that for you, and you probably can order them on the internet. You can order things like that, pretty readily on the internet these days. So I haven't done a search on that, but go ahead and somebody go ahead and do a search on that, see if you
Yeah,
can
I've
get
done.
them.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. I would also recommend that you could go to any local gym, and a lot of local gyms will offer you 3 free personal training or a personal trainer's evaluation, and they almost always use a caliper,
That's
as well
true.
as some other things too. So, yeah, I thought that was a great idea to use a caliper. That's really terrific because there are a couple tricks to knowing how to do it, and a personal trainer is usually trained in how to do that as well as a doctor to see how to do that. So the
Yeah.
next question we have for you is, in your experience, specifically, what daily usage pattern and lifestyle context allows PFT to deliver its intended benefit most consistently? And what we're really asking here, just to be honest and to really cut to the chase, most people want to know, do I need to use a product before I use PFT? Would you recommend that? What we've been hearing is using a product for at least a month previous to using PFT, and then using PFT. The company recommends 3 to 5 times per day. That's been what we've learned from using the product and having experiences. And I wondered what your personal experience was with PFT.
Okay. I haven't tried the PFT. I I just do I've been maintaining my body weight healthfully for 50 years. I haven't I'd like to though, just out of curiosity.
It's
But
a wonderful, yeah, it's a great B complex, like for people who are not looking to use weight. So have you ever been on a weight loss journey before?
well, my whole protocol for maintaining my body weight is just a healthy diet, all around holistic approach to fitness. So combining everything together, which is what I was about to go over. We skipped over to this question, but I was going to explain that, up here. But that's okay. People can get this, just this last section, really,
Mm-hmm.
that would kind of answer that question. But the PDF is going to be available on my website, and I'll show everybody where to get it, so you can look at that later. But yeah, just the things you need to do, diet wise, exercise wise, to maintain the right proportion of body fat to muscle and lean body mass ratios. You
So do
know,
you recommend that people use a different product before they try PFT and then take PFT 3 to 5 times a day, as the
it,
company does? Is that what your recommendation is?
well, it depends on the person's health. If they have other health issues, then naturally, I mean, it's a question of detoxifying, especially, which you
Okay.
never want to do a severe detox program at all, ever. Your diet and the drops are going to suffice to release these toxins gradually and slowly so that your health isn't compromised. So the HPR, the MLS, and the SLD, would be something that I would say to go ahead and use. And it doesn't mean you have to use them first. You can go ahead and use PFT along with it. The botanicals in every single one of these drops, they're so pan-systemic. They don't necessarily focus on any one body system or any health issue. Plants are just that way. They address various part of the body. So, it's not like they're restricted to one thing that they're advertised for. But but yeah, those are the probably the things that I would say to go ahead and use along with it. You don't necessarily have to do it before. Drinking plenty of water, changing your diet, getting rid of the junk, getting rid of the toxic things that you're exposed to in the home, the cosmetics, the shampoos, all those things, they need to be out. They need to just cease using them. because they're the ones that are causing many of the health issues that are out there. But yeah, I mean, you've got to just do all of the above, because if any one of those components are missing, then there's going to be a problem. Like I said, this just what I've found over the years, combined with all the research I've done and applying it all to myself and to my clients. That's the best way to get the most the best results and in the fastest way. Not that you want to rush it. The body can't be rushed. It's going to release and do its thing very gradually. Cell turnover rate takes anywhere from a week or several months. If it's the bones that have been fractured or anything like that, or if you have a health condition that's been building and has affected different body systems and affected how your body communicates with itself. All that has to be corrected. And the only way to do that is just to continually nourish it properly and do everything right, rest, recuperation, and all of that, staying hydrated, sleeping, regular sleep, that kind of thing. I covered all of that actually in the video I just produced on my YouTube channel. So I urge all of you to take a look at that. You're
Wonderful.
going to
I
love
did
it.
put that link. Yeah, I put that link into the chat for everybody too, the YouTube link for everyone to go to your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed that's been very helpful with PFT has also been NRM, because that will also help with cravings. But I will say that HPR is really crucial to helping the body eliminate some fat that's been while you're doing PFT, it really gives it a nice boost. I would say that those go really nicely together, hand and glove. We'll move on to the next.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate your information here, especially about the sleep. That was a big part of doing the trial. I hate to call it a trial, but doing the experiment or the the beginning uses of it. Sleep was a major component in the benefit of
Yeah.
PFT, so that's really good. Our next
Yeah.
question is, are the common behaviors that block results even when people, what are there, I'm sorry, are there common behaviors that block results even when people take it correctly? And by correctly, what we're referring to specifically is using, like you said, a detox in advance, and then using the product 3 times per day. The way that it's recommended is morning, noon, and night. It does not have to be with a meal, or before, during, or after. But is there anything that is going to be a problem? And most people ask me about sleep and about how much protein they should eat, and alcohol they're drinking and stress and things like that. So, in other words, can I continue to eat junk food? This is the summation of the question. Can I continue to eat junk food while I'm using PFT and still have good results? That's the crux of the biscuit, as it were, in this question. Can I continue to live an unhealthy lifestyle and get good results from PFT?
I have to stop and prevent myself from my first reaction, which was no, because why fill your body with all of these pollutants when the PFT is trying to go to work to eliminate not just the pollutants, there are other drops to help eliminate the pollutants, but also, you want to start out with a clean slate, right? So start eating better, start cleansing your body through the diet, drinking water, getting your sleep, because when you sleep, then your body is less likely to produce cortisol. Cortisol is the main problem when the body is storing more body fat. And it's when you're under stress, your body produces cortisol. When you don't get regular sleep, your body produce cortisol. So you want to eliminate all of those things that prevent you from losing the body fat. And if you eat junk food, you're not going to get the essential nutrients to maintain your 37 trillion cells and even more, multiple trillions of cellular processes, keeping you alive, detoxing, uh, replicating its own cells to transfer the genetic code of the mother cell to the newly forming cell. You don't want to mess with your genetic code. That's where disease happens. When the genetic codes get disrupted or confused, the body does its best to repair and straighten that out. But if you're constantly bombarding with all of these polluting foods, they're not even foods. I call them foodstuffs. You stuff your face with these so-called foods. They're not really foods. There's no nutrients in them except for all the wrong things. And also concentrations of pesticides, genetically modified organisms. Why would you want to subject your DNA to a genetically modified organism whose DNA's their own genetic codes are disrupted and confused and monstrous, like frankenfoods, I call them. So why would you want to do that? Do not do that. I do not, if you have health issues, that's usually the culprit, the wrong types of fats that are in these things, just the sugar, the lack of vitamins and minerals. They're just the wrong kinds of fats that will cause a whole number of health issues, especially with your hormones, your immune system. So they're related to a lot of things like cancers. I mean, it's just a horrifying, horrifying thing. I do not recommend that at all. Okay. So, and you don't have to detox in advance. Just start putting in more of the freshly harvested of the earth kinds of foods, and also freshly, slaughtered animals, as long as they're done humanely. That's why I advocate organic foods, because the animals are humanely, terminated. And I wish we did not have to eat meat, but we do. That's just how we're made. The science is very clear on that. There's a lot of years and years of science, a lot of debate of the two sides that do not eat animal foods, and the other side says yes, we definitely need those types of foods. So anyway, it's this is why I'm constantly putting out videos. This is why I like to appear here every month, because I get to point out these little tidbits to everybody so that they can set themselves on the right track. And I hope I didn't overdo this question.
I think this was incredible information, and I'm so grateful for exactly how you explained it. It's extremely helpful to everyone. And PFT is a product that can definitely support people regardless of the size that they are, because visceral fat is internal and you can't always see it. There are people who have visceral fat who are thin, and there are people who have, weight issues that they want to lose weight and they want to use PFT for external fat, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work that way. And that has definitely shown itself to be true over and over again. That was really seen in all of our tests, both in Europe and in the United States. Here was that people who used it specifically to lose weight, it did appear that men lost more pounds and women lost more inches, if I recall the correct findings. Is that Kevin's nodding? Yes, I think that is true. That was true in my house. My husband did lose a lot more weight and I did lose more inches. So that was definitely the case, and we had photos to back that up. I think we have a couple more minutes, and I did get a couple of great questions, and I think everybody should pop their questions in. Did I go through all of the questions, Mary Esther? Did you have more as well, or were we
Well,
there?
they can read the PDF because it's a very
Okay.
important bit of information. If they don't read the PDF, they're going to be missing a lot of information. And I'm sorry it took a little longer than I thought it was going to, but I do want to address what you just said. When you take PFT, it's not going to necessarily drop your weight at the scale. The scale is not one of the best ways to determine how much lean body mass, the healthy lean body mass you have, and how much body fat you've lost, other than inches, other ways of knowing that. But the PFT is known to help the body dip into the visceral fat stores for energy. So that is what the PFT's value is. It's extremely important for that, because it's very, very difficult to burn off visceral fat. And as far as men and women, the weights that they're losing, men are heavier than us. Their bone density is heavier. They have more muscle mass. They have heavier density in the blood, things like that. So they're larger than us. So for them to lose overall body weight, it's best for them to try to determine whether they lost body fat or any of their lean, body mass, which is very important. For women, we have lighter bones and we are just lighter and smaller than men. So naturally, we're going to lose the overall weight. And again, it's important to know if you're losing the fat versus the lean body mass. And the really basic rule of thumb is if you're tired, if you're on a weight loss program and you're tired all the time and you're sleeping more, then you need more food, more nutrients, nutrient dense food. You should never be tired on a weight loss program. You know, exercise is the way to break that cycle because you're going to just go into your body fat stores and burn a lot. And after you exercise, it doesn't stop right after you stop exercising. For the next 48 hours, your body continues at a higher metabolic rate. It's going to continue to dip into more body fat stores. It doesn't give you license to overeat. Why would you do that? You're making such great progress, right? Just eat regular portion sizes and make sure you're eating plenty of raw, fresh fruits and vegetables, you know, all the plant kingdom, drinking water, all the above, and eating enough protein to not only maintain your whole metabolism in your whole body, yeah, to maintain, you know, how your body uh, works, right? But you have to have enough left over to do the exercises that will burn off body fat too and maintain your muscles. The body's very reactive to exercise. It will get better and better if you nourish it properly along the way. After every workout, you should, you know, eat a healthy meal and not try not to miss your meals so that you don't get into dipping into your lean body mass for fuel. That's a long process to try to, you know, uh, to get energy out of the body that way. So it's not a very healthy way to do it either. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure people understood those things.
That is fabulous information. Thank you. That is terrific clarification for sure. I know we have several people here who were able to be in that program and that have used the product and have had amazing experiences. The company also did provide some incredible materials for us, including a chart on a tracker on exactly what to do, as well as some terrific recommendations that really line up exactly with what you're saying, Mary Esther. I mean, beautifully about sleep. There were a couple things that were really interesting too, like making sure that every night you put your cell phone in another room in your house and turn it off. So I don't know if anybody else is talking about that, but that does come back to grounding and does come back to really being grounded in your body so that you really are doing really good work in your body, and that's exactly what you're saying here. I did get a question here, and I know a couple people have some questions that they want to put into the chat. But Mary Esther, could you please give us a summation here of what we've covered tonight? Because this is a beautiful sales bullet point summary. Um, I would love to chip in on this too, on how we've been able to use PFT to sell the product and how we've been able to sell it. Did you want to go through that, or would you like me to?
Well, would you like to read them or did you have something else?
No, I think this would be great. I did have one quick question, but it's a different topic, so we'll cover it after we go off camera, because
Sure.
it'll be a question there. It's not a PFT question. Um, the nutrient complexes in PFT botanicals improve the way the body handles and utilizes its fat stores, particularly visceral fat. So when you have someone who wants to lose weight, but they want to utilize the foods that they're eating better and burn off visceral fat, PFT is the answer to that, right? And the botanicals you mentioned ginger, Malabar tamarind, barley seed, um, brown algae. You mentioned uh, I believe, five of the ingredients in PFT that are just remarkable ingredients. And that right there gives you a couple of things to talk about as far as ingredients go. But this product has different ingredients than the other products do, right? There are specific ingredients here that pertain specifically to visceral fat. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
The nutrient complexes in PFT botanicals aid in the body's regulation of appetite, the feeling of satiety, and the glands that influence how one relates to food. So, what's interesting about this is that many products, both pharmaceutical and over the counter, focus on feeling full. That's what this is all about. You have a lot of people who make recommendations about drinking more water or eating fiber rich foods. PFT is going to support your feeling of fullness. And feeling more full helps in really regulating how much you're eating, metabolism, and helping you to lose weight. Would you agree?
Yes. And that's why the plant kingdom raw foods diet should be half of your diet because of the fiber and not to mention all the invaluable nutrients that they offer. But yeah, the more of the plant kingdom that you can fit into your diet, the more full you'll feel, and you will be nourished too.
And in a great way, because raw food is so healthy. It's still living, right? It's just amazing. I love what you recommended there, and also the when you recommended about from the animal kingdom, looking for foods that are organic and terminated healthfully and humanely. I loved that. Plant complexes in PFT have been shown to increase the rate at which the body converts body fat to energy. You're burning fat faster. That's what that says. Burn fat faster. And I think right there, that sums up what everybody wants. Burn that fat faster. Um, the plant complexes in PFT have been shown to help prevent visceral fat accumulations around the vital organs and therefore prevent the associated disease predictors concerning the heart, pancreas, liver, gallbladder, stomach, intestines, and muscles. This is a really, for a lot of different reasons, some of which I can't really mention directly with a camera rolling, but I have to say that if there's visceral fat around your organs, and if you have had some organs removed and have fat there, this is going to be a product that you're going to be able to use no matter what. There will be no restrictions, and that it's plant-based. That's what's so important here. Fatty liver disease is a really big issue, as well as insulin resistance, right, Mary Esther? Those are things that people who might struggle to lose weight, struggle to actually even hormone changes in your body as you age, as women get older, as men get older, and our bodies start to change. This is going to really be great and supportive for everyone. PFT's
Okay,
botanical, I'm sorry, go ahead.
let me intercept here a little bit. Okay, I have three quick points I wanted to respond to. So, burning the body fat, it's the only way it's going to burn it faster is if you exercise because your cells are working fast, they're working faster. But the PFT has the botanicals that will go into those visceral fat stores
Mm.
and just use them for energy. I don't You can't really say it's going to do it faster. The only thing that's going to increase the rate at which you burn fat is to exercise, the aerobic, especially the fat burning exercises. So I just wanted to make that small
That is a
distinction.
great distinction. So I misspoke. We are not going to burn fat faster unless we run faster or run more. But I will say, you know what's interesting? That does bring up a good point. PFT, when I use it, my mood is improved, and that might be the B, and it might be something else, and it might be just completely I feel good about what decision I'm making, which you've talked about so many times. You feel better when you do better, and then you feel better. But when I feel better, I'm more inclined to move my body. So, and I would say that that is exactly something that you have taught us here. That is a direct Mary Esther influence on my life, that you've talked about so many times. And it's really true. And when I feel better about myself and I do more and I move more. So that's
Yeah,
great. That's a great distinction. Thank you.
you're welcome. So the other one I want to talk about was so you mentioned that when you get older, your hormones change. That's not necessarily true. I
Oh,
have been
okay.
around in the bodybuilding world. I was young, when I was heavy into bodybuilding, but as years went by, I just kept up the weights, right? And when you work out with weights, it stimulates growth hormone, which is called the youth hormone. So your body continues to act more youthfully, more energy, everything is more energetic, everything is faster. So weight training is extremely important. It doesn't just build nice looking, strong muscles or endurance. Those are great too, but it does so many things for your hormonal system. And I've mentioned this before, and I'm proud to say when I quit my menses at age 50, I never experienced a hot flash. Those are not normal. And anyone who ever came to me with hot flashes, I immediately knew what to do. And so their hot flashes vanished. Saved a lot of marriages from what I understand because of the mood swings, kind of thing. But you don't necessarily have to your hormones don't have to change all that much. At least I haven't noticed it. I haven't noticed anything like that. I feel the same now as I did 20 years ago and maybe even before. I don't remember. I always felt great. And everyone that I have put on my protocols, they have discovered the very same thing. So yeah, it's not necessarily aging because the DNA is going to continue to perpetuate the same level and quality of genes in your DNA. So that's the reason why I advocate weight training so much, especially for women. But also, it's going to build the strength and endurance and that kind of thing. And of course, you do need to nourish after your workouts. And I'm not saying you have to do any monster weight training workouts. I don't do the monster workouts anymore. I do the lighter weight training workouts, and it works just as well, kind of thing, just as much energy levels. But so any kind of weight resistance exercise, whether you're lifting a jug of milk or something that will stimulate your muscles to get stronger and your bones. So that's what also I wanted to add. Also, and nutrient factors that are in the plants, those are going to work together to prevent a lot of these things as well. So they will have a positive impact on your hormones.
Well said. That is amazing. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the clarifications. Those are very important. Last but not least, PFT's botanical phytonutrient complexes are an important component of a healthy lifestyle of exercise, and optimized healthy diet, and other vital lifestyle factors. So thank you so much for this. This was incredible. I know that we're walking away with terrific information. We're going to be able to help our clients, patients, and friends and family be healthier and feel better. Because when you feel better, you do better, right, Mary Esther? That's what you always say. And I want to
Yeah.
thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.